boss. Don't tell me the carry your math sheet and your spelling words went down the drain, and you couldn't decipher your homework because it was soaked in the rain. Don't tell me you slaved for hours on the projects that's due today, and you would have had it finished if your snake hadn't run away. Don't tell me you lost your eraser and your worksheets and pencils too, and your papers are stuck together with a great big glob of glue. I'm tired of all your excuses. They really are a terrible bore. Besides, I forgot my own work at home in my study drawer.
Feelings. These are the things that make me cheerful. Sunshine's on the sea, birthday parties, presents, and my favourite food for tea. These are the things that make me sad, a grey and gloomy day, unkind words and unkind looks when friends just walk away. Those are the things that make me angry, pests who pull my hair, people who break promises, and when times just life's not fair. These are the things that make me frightened, thunderstorms that boom, crawling bugs and creepy dreams and shadows in my room. These are the things that make me come, a smile from my friend, sleepy bedtime stories with a very happy end.
Just because I'm a teenager, it doesn't mean I don't know how to drive this car. I mean, there was once a time when I didn't even know how to tie my shoelaces. But I figured that out, didn't I? Why not this? I would put those laces into knots that had never even been discovered yet. So I will drive this car. My biggest strength is that I'm too determined. But that could also be considered my biggest weakness. But I'm going to do it. All I have to do is reverse it. Maybe it'll be slow and steady. Maybe it'll be fast and furious. Maybe I'll run into Mrs. Smith's bins. Maybe I'll run over her. But at least I would have tried. That's the important thing. Let's go.
Welcome everyone to Sussex Youth Theatre Surgery Live.
Where we go beneath the skin and get the answers to all the questions you want answered.
Yes, from theatre, TV, films, singing, news, gossip and advice, you send in the questions and we will get them answered.
That was an amazing talent spot.
The talent spot is hot today. There was lovely Maisie at the beginning from Shoreham, our Shoreham branch. And then there was Willow in the middle. Willow's amazing because when she first came to us, she was so nervous of coming along, and Tash in East Preston branch really nurtured her. And then she went to the Ferring branch with Ash. So it's thanks to those two and their amazing teaching skills, and obviously Willow's perseverance that she's come on so much. I mean, imagine now she's doing a talent spot. How brilliant is that? And then there's Leo, who was the last one. Leo's brilliant. Literally, his mum sends me a video pretty much every week. He literally brings up all these different characters, and he does whatever you ask him to. There's always something. There's always fun. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's always doing something, performing arts or whatever, and he's so talented. He's so good at what he does. And I just know for a fact that when I was like Maisie's age or whatever, I could not have done a talent spot, filmed a video of myself doing a monologue or something. That's not something I could have done when I was her age. But
No.
Mitch, what's the theme for our show?
Our theme today is acting and presenting.
Oh, brilliant. I've not done much presenting before.
Well, we have award-winning writer, presenter and actor Simon Davies backstage, who is ready and waiting to give us his take on how to make it in show business.
And we want everyone to get involved. So please type in your questions and we'll see if we can help you. And if there are any parents or older human beings who have any questions, do fire away.
Okay, shall we crack on then?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the show today, we have Aisha's spot. So she'll be letting us know what a rising star gets up to. And as I said, we've got Simon backstage to answer any of your questions. And today we also have a new segment called the student spot. So I'll be speaking to Henny Sonnemann-Petty, who's going to let you know what's happening in her life. What else is there? Another talent spot. Could it be you? Stay tuned to find out. So we have a jam-packed show. Kicking us off with her rising star spot is Aisha.
Right. So, I mean, if I'm honest, we're still in lockdown and stuff. Not much has changed, but that's okay. And I just want to, let everybody know that it's okay to, not have a really busy life at the moment, and that it's okay to take things slow and just take each day as it comes. It's totally okay to just have a day just sat on the sofa watching films. That was pretty much my half term. So, if anything, just go with the flow, just, take each day one by one, like one day at a time. Focus on doing stuff creative like drawing, maybe singing, whatever you use as an outlet. Just do that. And that is the best way to occupy time when we can't go outside. But
So actually, I have to say, it sounds like you're actually really rather busy, rather than saying, oh, nothing's changed. Well, actually, nothing's changed outside, but it sounds like you're keeping
yeah.
really positive and cracking on.
Yeah, because if you're just sat at home, like miserable that you can't go outside, then there's no point. But I like to play piano, I like to sing, and I play violin. And I'm doing violin grades at the moment, which are very stressful, very hard. But I'm enjoying it. I'm only grade 2, so it's quite all right at the moment. But
When in grade 2, you have to start somewhere, and violin is one of the hardest instruments to play. I remember trying to play it once, and it sounded like I was killing a cat. So
no, literally same. I'm there like playing 2 strings at a time when I'm not supposed to, but then when I have to play 2 strings at a time, I can't do it.
well, you will be able to do it, and that's the whole point of learning, isn't it? That's the whole point of advancing and getting good at stuff, and that's the whole joy of it, to be honest with you, about learning, about life, about your career, anything. It's the journey that you look back on, and that is actually what you enjoy. If you were suddenly famous or you were suddenly brilliant at the violin, there would be nothing else to do, would there? So
And it's great to see progress. Like every week I can see that I can play my pieces better and better. And that's the most rewarding part of it all. I think it's just great to notice your own progress, and that there's no other recognition that could be better than your own. So always hype yourself up. Don't wait for other people to do it, because you are the best.
and look at that, Holly Venables. That's Maisie's mum. She says helpful advice. So, one so young, you have a really good head on your shoulders. What else? You were saying something earlier about games.
Yeah. The other day there was a Nintendo Direct, which is a huge deal. If you're anything like me and you like video games and you like Nintendo, then you will know that they have not done a Direct for so long, and it was a huge deal because we were like, oh my god, what are they going to announce? And they announced one thing that is like super exciting to me, and I'm very excited, and I literally can't stop thinking about it. But they announced a remake of an old Zelda game, which my older sister played when she was younger, but I didn't like video games at the time.
Can I be really old and ask you what Zelda? That's not Zelda as in the witch, is it? From
Zelda is basically, there's a bunch of different Zelda games. They all pretty much have the same kind of storyline, where there is a hero and a princess, and the princess gets taken by this villain called Ganon, and the princess is Zelda, and Link has to save Zelda, which honestly, it's a great game, but I don't understand why it's not called The Legend of Link and not like The Legend of Zelda, because it's all about Link. So, but that's just me.
You completely lost me there. I mean, there are probably loads of viewers watching this that will know exactly what you're talking about, and I thought it was from Terrahawks. It was the old lady witch, Zelda. I'm sure her name is Zelda, but
I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. It's a HD remake for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm so excited because my sister used to love that game, and I never got to play it because I was annoying and didn't say yes to playing it, and I was quite young. So, but anyway, I could go on about video games for way too long, but okay, we're done. Shall we bring out our guest?
Yeah, I think that would be good to bring out our brilliant guest. But before we do, should we play a little showreel of bits and bobs that he's done? Yeah,
let's see that. Yeah.
Okay, here we are. So here's Simon Davies, and he'll be with us just after this.
Aha! Right, get back your lagoon. I heard you was the fastest draw in the way.
Currants and almonds, sugar and spice, cherries and cinnamon, all things nice. Little drop of brandy will suffice on Christmas Day.
That's right, Mrs. Horsley Bottoms. Then pour in the boiling water.
They want to know why spiders don't get caught in their own web.
Our solemn duty is to protect our city and this great country, no matter the cost.
Doors have been opened, and I pray that you never have to find out what's behind them.
I can't abandon my life's work. This is bigger than
No,
both of us. You know
Sylvester!
that. No, you know that.
No, Sylvester,
I know
no,
you do. No, you
no.
do. I don't.
Back up!
There's no more time.
And here, as if by magic,
Hello.
Hello,
How are you?
Si. How are you?
Aisha, you're a good presenter. Did you know that?
Thank you. I try my best.
You're in a really good shot. You're in a mid shot. You're talking to camera. Your eyes are down. You're doing all the things. Well done.
Thank you.
What about me, Si? Am I okay? Or
And Aisha, you're brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I just wish I could be.
Thanks, Aisha. Yeah, moving on from that. So, well, it's delightful to have you here. Obviously, such an amazing actor. I've known you for many years, acting together, working together. But if people don't know, well, people will know who you are. But can you tell us? I think it's always interesting to hear about your story leading up to, when you started to act. What age were you, and were your parents really supportive? Because most of our viewers will be, young children or teenagers going into young adults. So they're the ones looking after the advice from you.
But no, I got into it by mistake. It was a mistake. I hadn't done, you see, these days you've got youth theatres, you've got Sussex Youth Theatres, Surrey Youth Theatres that can kind of guide you. But when I was a kid back in the 1970s, there was none of that. And at school, I wanted to be a drummer. I wanted to be a drummer in a rock and roll band. And they were doing a production of Oliver, the school play. And I was 17 then. So I'd gone right the way through. I'd never done anything. And then apart from when I was a young kid, and I was the angel Gabriel in the school nativity, and I couldn't pronounce the name Jesus. I kept saying cheeses. And so they said, no, because I had this big line. I raised my wings and I said to Mary, thou shalt call him Cheeses. And they said, no, you can't call him Cheeses because this was a Roman Catholic school I went to. It's Jesus. So we had the big night. And this was my first ever performance. I was about 6 and I raised my wings. And the teachers were all looking, and the parents were all looking, and Mary and the baby was all looking. And I said, thou shalt call him Cheeses, like this. And that was my first part. And then years later, I forgot about it then. I went to go along to the audition to be a drummer in the school band because they were doing Oliver. And when I got there, they were casting for the role of Fagin. And in the mid-60s, about 1968, the musical with Ron Moody playing Fagin came out, and it was out every Christmas, and I'd seen it. And what I was good at was imitating people. So I did this whole impression of Ron Moody playing Fagin, Oliver, Dodger. You've got to pick a pocket or two. So I went and I put my drumsticks down and I said, I'll have a go. And they said, yes, brilliant, you can do it. So it was a mistake. If they hadn't have, I probably would have done economics or something at uni and then be working behind a desk. So that was early. Now, my mum and dad, nobody in the family had been a performer. If you can imagine, I'm from an estate on the outside of Cardiff. And their 17-year-old son turns up and says, I want to be an actor. They had no idea. And to all of you who are out there, anybody watching right now, what I knew that I had was this belief, I suppose, in myself that got me through that, and it got me through many things in my career as my career progressed, because I knew I had to do it. Once I did that role and it went down very well and everybody thought it was brilliant and I'd done well, it was in me from then on. And I think it's the same whether you're an actor or a dancer or a singer or a painter or a writer. If you have that in you, you can't ignore it. And in fact, if you do ignore it, then something's not quite right. You don't feel particularly happy. So no, it was all a big mistake, really. I should be in the government being an economics advisor.
Well, you could play an economics advisor with your look. I mean, you're fabulous. Did you? So you didn't go into it properly until you were 17? Did you say? Did you then go?
I was in the lower six. So I never had the benefit of what kids have these days. But what I then did at 17 was that I was asked to do the Welsh National Youth Theatre. And I did the South Glamorgan Youth Theatre. So before then, nothing. But when I got involved with the youth theatre at that age, I then met similar people with a similar outlook and similar, and you could just work out bits of improvisation and do songs and work out bits of theatre. So I met my people, my kind of people that I could connect with on that level as a performer. And then was the Welsh National Youth Theatre. I think they had about 30 people from all over Wales, and they offered me a part. So I thought I must be quite good then if I'm doing these things. But it was more for me at the time, I just had to do it. It was in my heart. And B, it was connecting with people in the business, people that knew. Up until then, no, I'd never had any idea. But now there were other actors and actresses and people who were good at improvising and people who were good at songs and people who were good at doing accents and characters. And just like a sponge, you soak it all in at a youth theatre, which is what I did. And I made up my mind, that's it. Wouldn't it be brilliant? And anybody watching will get this feeling when you do something and you enjoy it and you think, do you know what? Wouldn't it be brilliant if I could spend my whole life doing this and make a living out of it? And I just set that up as my ambition at that age.
I think that's absolutely amazing, and it's really genuinely inspirational, and that you're still doing it at your age now. Not that you're old. No, but you know that some people just give up, don't they? But you've gone on and on and on.
You do if you have to, if you absolutely have to, you have to. And so today, where are we? It's Tuesday today, isn't it? So today I've had a self-tape to do for a film, and it's a film going to be set in Raglan Castle, which is just in South Wales, and it's playing the king. And I was able to put on my medieval hat because I do various virtual history characters. And I'm there in my garage with my pretend sword, and I'm just doing this self-tape, and I'm trying to be like kings that I've seen, because it's a medieval versus werewolves film. So I'm trying to be kind of evil and no, I will kill you kind of acting. But I'm loving it. I'm still doing it 37 years later because that's what I am.
Well, and there are so many different. You're so versatile as well. You do so many different things that you don't just. I mean, all of it is based within acting, but you do so many things.
And I think, Mitch, a little bit like yourself. And my tip to Aisha and anybody else watching would be this: look, if you're lucky enough and good enough to make a career and go to drama college and make a career out of that career might be 50 years or more. And within that, you need to earn a living. So what I discovered very quickly, and it's not a happy story, when I moved to London then after going to drama college, I was on my own and I couldn't get any roles. And I was too tall and lanky to be the juvenile lead in anything. I wasn't old enough to be the character parts, which I became. I didn't get into my casting age until I had silver hair when I was about 50. So that was 30 odd years later.
Yeah.
So that was when I got into doing presenting. I started doing stand-up comedy first up in London in the mid-80s. I started to do presenting, and after doing one comedy gig at the Jongleurs up in Clapham, a lady called Barbara Rodham came up and said, you know what, you'd be really good doing kids programs, come and see us. I thought, goodness me, I'd never imagined that I would do children's stuff on television. And in those days, the BBC Children's Department had 1 day a year, 1 day, and they saw about 10 or 12 people, and you had half an hour, and that was it. And I walked into that room, and there was Cynthia Felgate, who was the head of younger children's TV programs. On one side were 3 or 4 producers. On the other side were 3 or 4 producers. Jonathan Cohen, who was very famous at the time as a pianist on television, he was there at the piano, and I had a half an hour. And I went in, and I remember I did Posh, from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Oh, yep. The posh travelling love for me. And I had it with a pith helmet and a stick. And I did a poem called The Cardiff Spider, which was like a regional thing, because I knew the BBC liked having regional stuff. And I had to do an improvisation. And that was on the Monday. And I just gave it, I just gave it my best shot. And on the Thursday, Cynthia Felgate phoned me up at home. Cynthia Felgate? Phone on my phone, head of BBC Children's Programs. And she offered me 3 series on the Thursday. Wow. And that completely changed everything.
And how old were you then?
That was when I was 23.
Well, that's good. That's brilliant.
That was when I was 23. And I think then it was an opportunity. And here's the thing. The love of my life is acting. And I've been able to fund acting because sometimes it's not very well paid. The thing I've done a tape for today, it's £100 a day for 3 days. It's not in terms of television, it's rubbish money. A thing I did in the autumn for Amazon Prime Video, that was £100 a day. The last thing I did was profit share. So the acting sometimes doesn't pay, but the presenting did. And even now, if I do present a corporate event or I go and do a role play, that's subsidizing the other side of my career. And my tip would be to Aisha and anybody watching, if you've got fingers in pies and you've got 5 fingers in 5 pies and 3 of them don't work, you've still got 2 things that can help you earn a living and enable you to do the acting and the thing that you really want to do.
Absolutely. We've got some questions coming up in a moment from some of our viewers, and anyone out there who wants to ask any more questions, we've had some come in, but do feel free to ask in the comments wherever you are on YouTube or Facebook. Obviously not on catch up because we haven't finished it yet, but I did an interview with Henny, who's one of our oldest students. She's taking her Lambda exams at the moment, and I interviewed her earlier. She was going to come on live, but she wouldn't. She had something else she was doing today, another lesson. So are you okay to listen to it, because she's got a question for you at the end side?
Of course. Yes.
We'll check with Henny now and see what she's up with. She's getting on with her life. Here we go. Hi, Henny, and welcome to the first ever Student Spot. The Student Spot is obviously old students, new students, getting to know where they are in their lives and what aims they have for the future. So we've known each other a long time, haven't we?
Yes, a very long time.
How long?
7 years, I think.
That's a long time, isn't it? So how old are you now?
I'm 16 now. I was 10 when I joined SUSSEX Youth Theatre.
Okay.
I started in the weekly classes at East Preston, and then after that I moved on to Lambda, and I think just generally my experience has been absolutely incredible, and I don't really know where I'd be without Sussex Youth Theatre in terms of acting.
So what's the difference between, just for everyone listening, what's the difference between the regular classes, they're 2 hours, aren't they, where you're learning the skills and everything, and Lambda? What's the difference between those two?
So the regular classes is more of like a broad thing. In my experience, is you do a lot, you cover a lot of different specialties, and then obviously there's the devised plays as well, which is great, and it's a lot more connecting with other people and working not so much individually, but learning how to work with others, whereas Lambda is based on doing a grade on a solo monologue, and that's very, very much focused on learning specific techniques and developing, you know, your skills based on you as an individual actor.
Did you find that quite difficult? Because when you're working with a group, obviously you've got lots of support around you. When you're working with the Lambda exams, suddenly it's like you're there on the stage on your own with no support around you, aren't you? So it can be quite daunting.
Yeah.
Do you think that helped you, the confidence, or?
I think definitely, even the first year I did it, Lambda just gave me that immediate boost of confidence, because I learnt from only acting with other people to acting by yourself. You have to learn how to support yourself, and if you go wrong, there's not really anyone who can save you, so you have to do that yourself. And that is such, you know, learning how to do that is so important, because you can act with other people, but if you don't know how to act for yourself, that can be quite a difficult thing to learn.
Yeah, it's great to learn everything, isn't it? And have that. So you've been doing it now for 6 years or so. So what's happening now in your life? We've obviously been in a pandemic for the last year, so we haven't had face-to-face classes. Although we did have face-to-face Lambda, didn't we? For most of it, although it's been postponed, and your Lambda exams are now in April, but they'll be virtually as well. So that will be a little strange as well, but it'll be good. It'll be a new experience. So you've obviously stuck with it, you know, for 6 years, which means you're dedicated to acting. What are your plans going forward?
So at the moment, I've got a few projects going. I'm doing some voiceover work and a lot of self-tape audition kind of things, because that's as much as we can do at the moment. I always had the idea I was going to finish Lambda at grade 8. I always wanted to go straight through to the end. So that's my plan for next year, is to do my...
What grade are you taking this year?
This year I'm doing grade 7.
Grade 7, so you're way up there then. And that's a lot to do, isn't it? You've got a modern speech, a Shakespeare, and what else have you got? No.
Like a 1900s, 20th century speech. Yeah. It's
great though, isn't it? Because when you're doing Lambda, you're learning these different techniques. You're learning from eras as well, which is really important for a performer and an actor to learn. So after your Lambda, what's going to happen? What do you want to do after that? Do you want to go on to drama school?
It is one of my options. But I think wherever I go, whatever I do, it is something that I definitely want to carry on. It's not, I think I've put too much time into it, put too much of my heart into it for it to not go anywhere for me. Even if it's something that I do every so often on the side, I don't think I could ever give it up. It's definitely something I want to carry on, and that might just be doing auditions here and there, or community theatre, whatever it is.
You had an ambition, didn't you, to go to a big drama school in London? Last time I spoke to you, so talk to us about that. Where's that?
So that's RADA, which is the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. Very, very well known. It's very prestigious and quite competitive, but it's definitely worth, I think, auditioning, and I always dreamt about it. It was always something that I wanted to do. I never thought I could quite get there, and it's always something, like, you say it to people and you assume people think, oh well, you know, that's a really big dream, do you think you're actually going to get there? But think if you're so passionate about something, there is no harm at all in pursuing that, no matter how big your dream is.
Absolutely. You've always got to pursue your dreams. If you don't pursue them, then you're not going to get anywhere. You know, you've got to pursue them and, you know, just go for it. And actually, half the fun is getting there. And if you get knocked back, that's another, you know, learning curve. There's no point being upset. You do what you can. You do it as well as you can. And you should feel, you know, proud of yourself and just go with it and go for it. And we'll always be here anyway to help you with your monologues or whatever it is you want to do to help get into there. So Henny, it's been really lovely talking to you. Now, we've got Simon Davies. Obviously, you're not live on the show today, but we've got Simon Davies, the brilliant actor and TV presenter, with us today. Do you have a burning question that you would like to ask him about the business?
I do. My question for Simon is, what has been your best or most interesting experience, and why was it so good?
I shall ask him that. Okay, Henny Sonnemann-Petty, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you very soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, that's the lovely Henny. So Simon, do you remember the question, or do you need me to repeat it?
It cut out just near the beginning of it. So just repeat it again for me.
It was just about what was it? My mind's gone blank now.
Yeah, I'll save you guys. This is why I'm here. Anyway, her question was, what was your best or most interesting experience, and why was it so good?
Ah, right. Thank you. Well, funnily enough, just here, if you might have noticed, I have a television award, which I often take with me around. And this is, anybody who knows, is an RTS Royal Television Society award for a series called Megamaths, which I did. Now, some of you, well, no, you're the age possibly to watch Megamaths, but this was about 20 years ago. And it was fantastic because I went with the idea for the series on a scrap of paper to the BBC and had a lunch with somebody who I knew who was a producer. They took the idea. We did a pilot episode of it. Then they funded a series of it. And I wrote it, but I also put myself in it as well. And then it won an RTS award the following year. So what was amazing was doing the whole journey from thinking of an idea at home, going and pitching it to somebody, which is quite scary, persuading them that it would work, writing the pilot, getting the series, and then it being so well received that we were up for an award for it. So that's just amazing to be able to do that. It's only happened a couple of times, but it's an amazing thing to go on that whole journey. Now, what's interesting, sorry to ramble on, is that this is becoming the trend. If you watch something like Fleabag, then you've got the woman Sophie Waller has gone with the idea, has given herself the part in it, has sort of produced it, and then has been in the whole series. I've just watched a series called I May Destroy You, which is a kind of grown-up series on the BBC. Again, it's a young actress, has gone with the idea, written the script, taken it further. And these days, what's is amazing is you guys out there are much more televisual, filmic, and videographer savvy than we were in my day, and even in Mitch's day. And so, guys, you can put an idea together. You can kind of make 5 minutes of it down on Worthing Beach, and you can actually write it, and then you can pitch that idea, which is something that you could never do when I was younger. And it's becoming more and more the wow trendy thing to do.
Thanks for that, Si. That's really interesting. I just need to bring you back sort of about 20 minutes or so when you said that acting was the love of your life. Yeah, when you said that, I just wanted to bring up a comment here from a person called Laura saying, I'm pretty sure the love of your life is your wife, Simon, surely, not acting.
Yes, that that might be someone watching called Laura Davies, who was watching. And of course, if she is still watching, then the love of my life is Laura. The second love of my life is acting. If she's not watching, the love of my life is acting.
Thank you for that, Simon. Thank you for rectifying that. Okay, and we have Holly's asked a question here. So we've got Holly. Great advice, Simon. Have you found drama useful in other areas of life, in business, for confidence, or networking? And can we say we've got about 6 or 7 questions. So if you can keep them to sort of, you know, brief.
Absolutely. And the problem with a lot of actors who don't get on with it is because they don't have that business side of them. You are an actor. I know you've had agents talking on the show. I know you've had other actors talk. You see yourself as a product. You promote yourself as a product, and you use your talents, your people, personality, talents to push yourself in that. Half of it is the acting and the talent. The other half is having the people talents to communicate with people, persuade people, and get on with it. Now, once you latch into that, you can do very well. And often, in my opinion, people who don't do particularly well are at home waiting for the phone to ring and are adamant that they are just going to stay there till somebody discovers. It's never going to happen. You use your talents to do the other things as well. You're a business.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Si. Aisha, do you want to start with the questions here from Dev?
Yes. Okay. So Dev from Rustington asks, how can you do a good audition, and is there a trick?
Is there a trick to doing a good audition? I'll tell you what I think, and it's this, and this is 37 years of experience talking here. In an audition, 50% of it you have no control over. It's the director, the producer, whoever's there. It's what they're looking for. It's kind of what the script writer has got in mind. You've got no control of that. The other 50% you do have control over. Preparing the audition, going dressed as you think the character might look, being prepared if it's a self-tape, just to take yourself away somewhere and use your imagination. Where would this character be? Today, for example, I've done a self-tape. It's a dark medieval castle. So I've gone out to the garage. I've got those black home base storage boxes behind me, 2 to the side, so it looks like some kind of seat, some kind of throne. And I've used that darkness just to put together what I think is a really good self-tape. So that you do have control over. And then when you go, if you look right, if you've prepped the audition and just kind of risked a bit as well, you've got to risk so you stand out, then you are in control of that other 50%. And that should put you in the frame.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, we've got Lacey from Stenning, and she asks, oh, this is quite relevant. Have you ever forgotten your lines on stage?
Yes, and in fact, I was at the time on stage with Mitch, and we would we were at the Worthing Connaught Theatre, and I was the Sheriff of Nottingham, and Mitch was the Dame, wonderful Dame, very funny, very entertaining. And we'd done it, and I came on and I had a line. I can't even now remember the line, but I just raised my finger and I went, and Mitch looked at me with his big eyes to say, oh, well, I don't know what the blimmin' line is. And I went, aha! And luckily, a friend of ours, Johnny, who is Jumpstart Johnny, was in the audience, and he shouted out the line. And I went, oh, thank you. And we carried on with the scene. So it was very fortunate.
He's actually online. He's just mentioned, yes, he did one during a pantomime called Robin Hood, but I don't know if he remembers your line. So, Johnny, if you remember the line, do just put it up. And then my friend here, this is Charlie. He's from Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Kansas. He's saying, is biting my tongue here. That's probably because we went to college together like 500 years ago, and he's remembering times when he forgot his lines on stage, not me. That was him. So anyway, if Johnny remembers that, we'll bring it back. But Aisha, you have the next line. Oh, you have the next question.
So, James from Bracknell asks, what is your dream job?
My dream job, goodness me, that's a hard one. And let me think. I like the business of acting. I love rehearsing with people who are like-minded, and you know this, anybody watching, and you're putting the script and you're bringing it together and it's working, or when you're in front of it. I just love the business of acting. But if I had a role that I've not played that I would love to play now at my age, it would be Scrooge in A Christmas Carol, because I think that is such a good epic role, but at the end it just brings such a lot of joy to the audience. So that would be a role that I would love to play.
I have to say Scrooge is my favorite Dickens. It's just the best.
Scrooge is such an interesting character. I think the development of Scrooge is one of the best that's ever been.
Yeah. And especially from a kid, and from a kid's point of view and as an adult, you take so much from it, don't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think there's a version of Scrooge that is from the early 70s with Albert Finney playing Scrooge.
Yeah.
If you ever get to see it, now it bombed at the time. A lot of people don't rate it. It is absolutely fantastic because it is still in the era of Oliver. You still got these big numbers with lots of cast and West End dancers, and it's beautifully put together, and the songs are fantastic. But a lot of people haven't seen it because it's not particularly well known. But if you get to see, I think it's 1973. It is just the best.
He is stunning in it, and that scene when he's dead. Well, we'll ruin it for everyone. You'll know this. He's dead, and the coffin's going through the street, but the man's singing "Thank you very much."
Very
and they're all
much.
singing.
Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone ever done before. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's about him dying. They're saying thank you very much for dying, but Scrooge is thinking he's saying thank you very much to Mr. Scrooge for being such a wonderful person. Which isn't much. I'm not sure who friend Chris Gibson is, but thank you. I think Stella. Right, do I have another one? Lourdes from Burgess Hill asks, do you have two agents? So I assume she's thinking like a presenting agent, an acting agent.
Yes, in fact, I have 4 agents.
4?
Well, no, I have an acting agent, which is Camilla Story Management. I have a presenting agent, Perfect Presenters, up in London. I have a literary agent because I do script writing. I've always done script writing for kids programs, and they're Janet Fillingham Associates, JFA. And then I have Soho Voices, which is a voice agent for doing any voiceover work. And again, the point is this, that the more fingers in more pies that you have, particularly when you're young, start developing and training these different talents. For some people it's singing. I'm rubbish at singing. For some people it's musical theatre, can put over a song that will break your heart. I can't do that. For some people it's Shakespeare. For me, it happened to be presenting and script writing, but it just means that you don't end up working as a barista in Costa Coffee. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You don't end up being an Amazon delivery driver. You can actually be constantly involved in the business. So yes, agents are good.
Fab. Aisha, this is you asked the question that sort of Simon sort of mentioned it earlier, but you asked the question next
time. You've said a bit about it, but Remy from Worthing asks, how do you earn money from acting?
Good question. You've got to have now this is me, other people have different views. You've got to have what I call your regulars. Okay, so these are jobs that are related to acting that you can count on to pay the bills, okay, to give an income. So my regulars are, I'm a Santa. I'm a Father Christmas. Up at Harrods, they spend a lot of money every Christmas on their grotto, and I am one of their Santas. It pays very well. It's good work for about 6 weeks, and it enables me to get through the spring, whether there's work or not, financially. Another regular is doing role plays. Now, I know around Brighton and Worthing, there are a few role play companies. And because of the medical school in Brighton, they do a lot of medical role plays. So you go in and you take the script of the patient and you pretend to be somebody who's got maybe a heart problem, who has got a continual cough, or somebody, and the students learn how to diagnose what it is. That's a good regular. It plays quite well. I do events, corporate events, and I present them, but other younger actors are crew on them, and you get about 125 quid a day, and you can do it quite. So you get your regulars, and these are jobs that if you suddenly have to go because you've got a part for something, nobody really minds. You're not going to get the sack. So if you get your regulars, it leaves you time to do something that might come out of nothing. You can stop everything else and you can go and do it. And what's important to remember is that you do jobs for different reasons. Money is one of them, obviously. But then in the autumn, I did a job simply because of the potential. It's called Trust, and it's on Amazon Prime Video. They've done 2 episodes. I did an episode because I hope they're going to get funding for a feature film. So I just did it for expenses or very little money because there's another reason to do it. And he promised me my role would stay if they get funded for a feature film. And the last thing to say is that one of the best ways of making money is to get an agent that has a commercial arm to it. And the most money I ever made was doing an advert for Enterprise car and van hire. And it was £8,500 for 1 day work. It was an advert, and they repeated it and extended the contract the following year for 80%. So that 1 day earned me over £15,000. So if you can find at any age an agent that is a good commercial agent and puts you up for adverts, that's where you can make really good money.
Brilliant. Well, I remember that. I remember that advert as well. I remember you never even bothered taking me out for a drink with that money. So thanks for that, Si. We've got a final question here before we crack on into our last little section. This is from Maisie, and Maisie was the very first girl we saw at the beginning.
She was fantastic.
She's 11 and she says, "Hi Mitch, we have a question for Simon. I'm interested in editing and script writing. How do you recommend I get involved?" And she's 11, remembering that, I suppose, at that age.
Well, I think these days you can the opportunity, and I'm brushed on this more than the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Start just doing it. People are beginning to get their own YouTube channels and beginning to do their own output. They're beginning just to record on their iPhone or their smartphone or their iPad, just little snippets. I saw Maisie at the beginning doing those poems. If she thought about maybe doing one of them down on the beach, down around Worthing, with those rocks behind her or with the sea behind her, and started to think visually as well, then start to put together a load of these short films, then you've got it there to send to agents, to send to producers, to send to directors. And there's a thing, and I know you've brushed on this before, called Contacts, which is full of, like, the BBC, full of people you can send stuff to. But what's really good about these days is if you go on Facebook, you will find there are all sorts of free forums that you can join, and they have competitions for you to put scripts into, for you to put short films into. They have interaction with other people. I'm a member of about 30 or 40 of them. There is always something going on that you can get involved in, and you can promote yourself and you can put your ideas into it. But it seems to me that Maisie already is on her way down that road. Why? Because you can see she's got it there, and she's just going to fly, I think.
Oh, thanks for that. Oh, hold on, son. My phone's just going. Hello? Oh, hold on. It's your agent, Si. Hold on. Just wait there a second.
What?
Okay, just hold on a second. Yeah. Oh. Well, that's absolutely amazing. No, I'll let him know. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I know. He's very proactive. He's probably the most proactive actor I know, actually. He's amazing. Yeah, I know. He's great. Sorry, this is our live show. Do you mind if I just... Right. Yeah, thank you. No, I haven't got representation at the moment, but I'm available. Thank you. Right, bye.
Is that Camilla? Seriously, is that Camilla?
Yeah, sorry. There were two things. She said she hasn't heard back about the audition, the self-tape you did earlier, but they really loved you. And two, she said you were available in the summer. Now Boris has released the road plan to come and do this 4-day workshop with us, as long as, touch wood, everything goes all right. I know we've been like holding back on saying about it, but would you be able to tell everybody? So this will be in sort of at the end of the school term, when it's sort of end of July, beginning of August, a 4-day course in Worthing. At the Labour Hall, hopefully. So can you...
Absolutely. And now here's the thing, and I run television courses, television presenting courses, TV courses. I have all the kit and the cameras and the lights and the monitors. And particularly for younger people, youth theatre age, it's really helpful, because otherwise they just don't get an insight into the sorts of things they need to do. So I've put an idea together for a 4-day course, which is called You've Got the Part. And it's basically doing everything you need to know from day one, looking at yourself. What roles could you play? Here are the scripts. Let's have a look at you on camera. Day 2, putting a self-tape together. And I think people have mentioned already, these days, it's all about self-tapes, and that's not going to change. It is cheaper for everyone for you to put a self-tape together. But how do I do it? Where do I put the lights? How do I put a self? So we do that on day 2. On day 3, you get sent different scripts and we do it. And then we work out where to place them. So we work on them. And on day 4, we put it all together in a sort of show reel package. And then we show mums and dads, anybody who's interested. And at the end of it, we just say, well, you've got the part. So it's the whole journey that you need to know. Now, it's taken me 35 years to get to that point where I know. You guys, if you come along and we do the course, and if my agent says I'm available, then I'm available and we can book me. And we will follow that whole journey, and it will be so useful for you guys to help you on that first step to get an agent, casting director, and get involved in television and film.
Well, that would be brilliant. And I'm booking you now, sir. So please put me in your diary when you get downstairs before Stagecoach and the rest of them get hold of you. So,
okay.
Oh, hold on. That's the bell. Right. That means we're going to have a tiny little break, which we're going to watch the second talent spot. And we've got Leo again giving us a bit of music and entertainment. And then we've got Coralie. So enjoy this couple of minutes here.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped and upside down, and now I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there and tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playgrounds where I spend most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and I'll be shooting some b-ball outside of the school. And a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in the neighborhood. I got in one little fight, and my mom got scared. She said, "You're living with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air."
Opportunities like this don't come around for people like me. They hear what I've done in the past and then they don't think I can do any better. And I know it's all completely new, but that doesn't mean that I can't do it. I'm a fast learner, and then I'm the one who's always ignored. There are so many people who look down on me and think I haven't got what it takes, but I'm just as good as them. I will be just as good as them, but all around me are people who want me to fail. Because then they get to say, I told you so, and that makes themselves feel good about themselves for once in their life, and that means that they were right. But what they don't see is they haven't even allowed me to get my foot in the door or even peek my head through the window. They've given up on me before I can even start. And I guess that's why it's taken me so long, but I don't want sympathy. Please don't think I want sympathy, that's not how I want to get this. I want to get this because I deserve it and through merit. I'm just being honest that, you know, people like me, we don't get the chances as much. And that's not because we don't try or we're not passionate enough, it's just because not enough people are willing to believe in me.
Well done, guys.
Wow.
That was fab, wasn't it? Johnny's put fantastic.
Wow.
And that was Leo at the beginning again, so diverse. He just tries everything. And that's the lovely Coralie. And that was written by her friend. Sorry, I'm being bad here because I can't remember her friend. Yes, I can. Her friend's name is Katie Nicholas. And it's performed by Coralie. So well done, guys. Isn't it nice to see some like talent and just see people putting it out there rather than being embarrassed or like, oh, is that good enough? Is that, you know, whatever. It's really lovely to see. So you've been you literally, when I said earlier, you really are genuinely, I think, the most proactive actor I know. You're always literally writing off the things, you're connecting with people, you're in there and you're doing stuff, and I've got massive respect for you, and thank you so much for coming on the show. But for the last little bit, we have a bit of fun. Are you up for a bit of fun?
Yes, always up for a bit of fun, Mitch. You know me.
Okay, so we're all prone to ramble. Now, I did this with Sam Dodd, the agent Sam. You know Sam, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And she managed to do it in a minute. So who are you now? Are you who are you? What?
No, well, one of the things I do is called virtual school visits, which some kids watching might do, where they basically come and they have an interview with an historical character. So I am currently going to be the captain of the Titanic, which is one of the characters that I do. But it's just my fun hat. So once you said fun, I just thought, well, this is my fun hat.
Very fetching, very fetching, very fetching. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes. Oh no, we've got 10 questions in 1 minute. Okay, so your time will start after I ask the first question. Yeah, just try not to ramble so much. This is the whole thing. Okay, we ready? You're not going to make it to a minute, Si. I know it. Right, okay, ready? What is your favorite chocolate bar?
My favorite. Oh, hang on. hang on. I can show you. Hang on. There. That's my favorite chocolate bar.
Oh, Dairy Milk Caramel.
I've got some here in my workroom.
Aisha, go for it. Go.
What's your favorite meal?
Chicken tikka masala with pilau rice.
Oh, nice. And your favorite place for holiday?
I love the Caribbean because the water is tepid, warm all year round. It's beautiful. Caribbean, yes.
What's the worst meal someone could give you?
Sprouts.
That's not a meal. Try again.
Well, it's sprouts, mashed sprouts with grilled sprouts au poivre, because they taste like feet. Not that I've eaten feet, but if I ate feet, I would imagine it would be similar to sprouts.
Okay, right. What's your favorite drink?
Costa latte. Caramel.
You failed miserably. But we're going to carry on. Okay, so you failed that. So it's Costa latte. No, don't be upset, Si. Don't be upset, honestly.
Okay.
Costa latte. Aisha.
What's your favorite song?
Actually, I've been learning the Friends theme. You know, from my daughter India. But no one told me life was gonna be this way. Come on. The joke you broke. Your love like steel. Hey, it's like you're always stuck in
What's
second.
Your film?
Gladiator by the fantastic Ridley Scott. Best film ever made.
Okay.
What age did you leave home?
19.
What car do you drive?
In my head, a Mercedes SL convertible, but actually a Vauxhall Antara.
And
way.
Finally, what do you think is your best quality?
My best quality is compromise. I have learnt in my long life that you can't always be right. You must compromise. And sometimes if it doesn't go quite well, it just doesn't go the way, you can find a compromise. So I would say that was my best quality.
Fab. Aisha.
I have a fun question. If those weren't fun enough, this is even more fun if that's possible. So, if you were to produce a film or play, who would your ideal cast be? You can have up to 5 people, living or not, fictional or real, family, friends, famous people, or an imaginary character.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting question. I think interesting because I've had an idea for a while now for a pilot for a kids series called Vinius Bulbus. And it's about a Roman centurion that lived in Britain about 2,000 years ago. And he comes across there at the time the Romans were here and the Druids were here. And he comes across a book that turns out to be a time battery and zaps himself to the 21st century and has to find a gold coin, a bit of bone of a dinosaur, has to find over the 8 episodes 8 different artifacts. One he does at an auction, one is buried under the turf at Old Trafford, Man United's football ground. So every episode, and I've been thinking, who would I get to play what? My favorite actor is Anthony Hopkins, but for this, Jack Black would be the Vinius Bulbus character, slightly manic, but kind of comedy as well. The lady character who's head of the Druids, I would have you know in the Disney version of Into the Woods, and Meryl Streep is the witch in that, and she just does that so brilliantly. So she would be the sort of head of the Druids. But the guy Vinius, who's a gladiator, meets these 2 kids, and they've got a stepdad who looks after them. And the stepdad, I think Mitch Jenkins, I would cast as the stepdad because he's got to be funny, but he's got to be very protective as well. The 2 kids then in episode 1, they come across a helper who helps them. And Aisha, I think you would be perfect for that. Yeah. Just watching you tonight, I think you would be perfect. And if it was up to me, I would cast Maisie and Leo as the 2 lead kids in it. There you go.
Thanks, Si. Do you know what? I have to say, it's past my bedtime now. It's supposed to be a 45-minute show. We're on to like an hour and 10 by the time we finish. I have to pay Aisha £30 for every minute she's on screen, so I owe her about £3,000 now. But finally, and thank you for answering all the questions. Your very final question, and it's just precise if you can. What's the best piece of advice you could give anyone wanting to get into the business?
Well, again, it's just going back in my story. Go with that feeling. If you have it in you and you know you've got to do it, go with it. The best bit of advice, fingers in pies. Your career hopefully will be 40 or 50 years, and it will go up and down and up and down and up and down. As many fingers, develop the singing, develop the accents, the comedy, the acting, the improvisation, and then get as many fingers in pies, because that will keep you going and sustain you throughout your whole career.
Simon Davies, fingers in pies, thank you so much for being our special guest today, and we will see you very soon. Hopefully you'll come back with the next project.
Thank you, no problem. Thank you very much. What a great show as well. What a great idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Take care, Si. Well, wasn't he brilliant?
He was so great. He gave so much good advice, and he's just so positive about everything he talks about. Like, you can tell that this is what he was meant to do.
Absolutely. And that's why I said, and I genuinely meant it when I said he's one of the most proactive actors I know. And he said about people sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring. You never do that with anything. And I know that running a business, and you've got to think about your acting career as a business. You are a business. You're not just somebody going, I love to do this, I'm going to go and do it. Joe's just, this is Leo's mum, bless her, saying these shows are a great way for sharing information in a fun way. Great show, Guy. Leo's taken a lot from it. Thanks, Joe, and thanks, Leo, and thanks for sending in those brilliant things. So, what a fab show. We've got to come to an end because I'll probably run out of internet space in a minute. So, Aisha, thank you very much as well for being a fabulous co-host. Were you less nervous this time?
Way less nervous.
Yeah.
I can actually talk this time. You know, I wasn't frozen like, this is great, you know.
You were fab. You were brilliant. Okay, so, well, it just leaves me to say thank you, Aisha. And also, do you know who's on the show next time? Your guess is?
I mean, it could possibly be, what about Ariana Grande?
No.
What about, you know, she's still one. What about Elizabeth Olsen?
Elizabeth Olsen? No, she's so last month.
Okay, so what about, it has to be Madonna.
Madonna's so last decade, really, even last century. She was my sort of like, she was my girl, Madonna, when I was growing up. But no, we haven't got Madonna. She doesn't return any of my calls. But we have none other than actor, theatre company owner and reviewer James Evans. He'll be joining us, and James used to teach us as well. He's a really fun guy. He's got loads of advice. He's only in his 20s as well, so it's really good to learn from different people at different ages and at different stages in their career. That is on March the 16th. Okay, so Aisha, I'm going to say goodbye to you and then just have a final word with everyone. Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, darling. You take care.
Bye.
Bye. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us, SYT Surgery Live. I hope you've garnered a lot of information from our brilliant guest, Simon. And thank you to all the talent spots and Henny and everyone who's contributed to the show, because it really does take quite a lot to put all this together. But thank you, and thank you for all your brilliant comments and for interacting and getting involved. So we'll see you on March the 16th. And also we have Lily Anderson with some really big news for us. Lily's one of our older pupils, but she's got she's got some really big news for us. So tune in then. And you can WhatsApp me, text me, have a look all through the credits, and you'll see how to get involved. All right, take care until next time.